Good evening and welcome to the Discerning Nerd. I'm your host, Will Allen, and with me as always,
Mike Bryson.
We're here to talk about disappointments, specifically gaming disappointments, not the way your wife feels.
Yeah, we touched on it before, but given the recent release of No Man's Sky, we really want to talk today about what devs do when they make promises and then they break them. We want to look at games that were promised to be something that, I mean, honestly, a lot of times they couldn't even hope to live up to when they were released. Like, there was no chance for them to do the things that they were supposed to do.
Yep. People just... Well, devs will say anything to get hype for their game.
Yes.
As evidenced by, if you've noticed the propaganda for Titanfall 2, literally it says, get hype for Titanfall 2.
God.
Get hype for the sequel to a game that was so crushingly disappointing it lost its multiplayer fan base in less than a month.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And looking at that, I can say that No Man's Sky has already lost 90% of its players. 90% of its players.
I guess...
It hasn't been out a month.
Yeah, but that's not super bad, because it's not like it's an MMO or multiplayer thing.
I'll say that. It's just still, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. But we're going to start off talking about some stuff that's happened in the past.
We're going to start with everyone's favorite game developer, Peter Molyneux.
Yeah, Peter Molyneux. Peter, personally, I want to call you out. I really do. Because you've got to stop. Each Fable game, there were 4 Fable games, in case anyone didn't know.
3.5. Fable Journeys is barely a
Fable
game.
Journeys, yeah. But we have Fable, Fable 2, Fable 3, and Fable Journeys. And Fable Journeys, if you don't know, is a Kinect-only title, so that should tell you something
it's
right there.
It's a rail shooter.
Yeah.
An RPG rail shooter.
You know, the fact that Fable 1 was promised to be a revolutionary RPG where you could live and grow and have children and die and you could have a bloodline that continued, and it was this great open expansive story where it was your story. It wasn't a story you were following, it was your story. And when Fable finally dropped, it was just another generic third-person action RPG. Now, the game is fun, I'll give it that. But once again, being fun wasn't enough because of what it was supposed to be.
You know what's really sad about the promises of Fable? There's a game that does a lot of that.
Kingdoms of Amalur, right?
No, it's called Record of Agress War. It's super Asian JRPG. And, you know, it's not your story. You're following the story, but it's a generational story. You play through 5 generations of this character's family.
Nice.
And it actually passes on. There's also dimension hopping and stuff because it's a JRPG, which means nothing can be straightforward.
I think Phantasy Star 4 did that too. Generations of Doom.
I didn't play any Phantasy Stars after Phantasy Star Online came.
Well, it was before. This was like the first Phantasy Star was Master System, and then 2, 3, and 4 were on the Genesis. And yeah, Phantasy Star 4, Generations of Doom, it did that, where you actually like followed down. And it's crazy. So this sort of thing wasn't alien to gaming.
Well, it was alien to Western gaming.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. But still, those games were released here. They had a following here. They were localized. So was Azure Dreams for the PS1. Literally every time you die, you wake up as your son. Like, that's a thing.
That's a weird thing.
But like I'm saying is, this isn't unheard of. Other people did it. But it's just, you know, Fable 2 came along, and he said with the introduction of firearms, and it was going to be like this massive Victorian fantasy sprawling RPG.
You can plant a tree, a seed, and watch it grow into a mighty tree.
You cannot do that. You cannot do that.
You can watch your family die.
That's because it's in the story.
Yes.
Yes,
it is.
Yeah, you know, that's another thing. And then, you know, it's another one of those games where it has this binary system, but the ending is fully decided by a choice you're given at the end.
Your choices mean nothing.
Nothing. And then Fable 3 was supposed to be the grandest of them all, to deliver on the promises of the other two, and it was the worst in the series.
He fucked up making a menu.
A menu!
How hard is a menu? Box pops up, choose your inches. No, in Fable 3, it has to be more epic. You have to be summoned into your mind palace and run to the statue representing your wisdom to adjust your inventory, which is represented in your mind by a little box that pops up and you move the shit around in.
Oh, like an inventory?
Yeah, like an inventory.
Oh, OMG.
And it took 3 or 4 minutes to load it every time because the game was so poorly optimized the 360 could barely run it.
And then there was Fable Journeys, which was a Kinect title, and I can stop talking now.
Yeah. There is exactly one good Kinect title. It's Just Dance.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's it. Every other Kinect title ever made is garbage.
But Will, I'm Han Solo. I'm Han Solo. Come on, man. Which that entire segment is literally just Dance.
It's Just Dance with an upsetting Star Wars veneer.
I'm Han Solo. I can't get it out of my head. Like, I wake up, like, I have fever dreams, and I wake up in a cold sweat. And I was like, I'm Han Solo! I can't, like, it hits me.
Just remember,
in my core.
everybody, you can play a game where Emperor Palpatine dabs. Join me, young Skywalker. Bust a funky, fresh move.
Why does your Emperor Palpatine always have, like, the heaviest lisp on the planet?
Because he does.
I don't think he has one that bad.
He does in Episode 6. He doesn't have it in the prequels.
Okay, I might give you that.
I assume it's part of the process. Go back and watch that. He's like, soon, young Skywalker, you will die.
I'm just saying, you sound like Nathan Lane in the Birdcage. Like, that's...
Tell me you wouldn't watch a version of Star Wars with Nathan Lane as the Emperor.
I would love it!
Episode, like, the prequels with Nathan Lane as Emperor Palpatine, how great would that be?
It'd be brilliant.
Oh! Save me, young Skywalker!
Oh, God, that makes me want to watch The Producer so badly. But we're going to get back to games. Peter Molyneux. Now, I believe Peter Molyneux was involved with the latest incarnation of Sin City, was he not? Or was he already let go from Maxis at that point?
I don't know, but Maxis has just sort of become
do need to talk about that.
Like, spiraling abyss of hatred and...
Spore is very closely tied to this discussion with No Man's Sky. Because what did they say we were going to have? They say we were going to be able to follow a single organism from the single cellular step up until galactic civilization. What did we get instead? We had Sim Microbe, we had Sim Village, Sim Town, and Sim Galactic Empire, with massive leaps in between and no connecting tissue.
Well, it was simply the journey of the penis monsters.
Well, the whole thing was they said that, like, you could design your creature any way you wanted to, and the computer would figure out how it was supposed to move, how it was supposed to eat, how it was supposed to communicate. It would decide it for you. Instead, what did you get? You got a list of customizations. You got, these are the arms you can use. These are the legs you can use. You can attach them here on the body, and that is it. Sure, you can give them 20 fucking arms, but you can't just make a ball of arms that rolls around. They said you could do that. I bought that game pre-order, and I literally have played it a total of 4 hours, and I have never been more pissed in my life.
That does bring up something that I feel like needs to be addressed a little bit. If your game doesn't need character customization, don't put it in.
Yeah, I actually...
Like, there are so many games where it's like, design your characters, like, this affects nothing except I got to choose what they look like. Don't bother. Just design a character. Even like games where people love the characterization, like Mass Effect, honestly, they had the two femshep, dudeshep.
Yeah,
that's what they look like. They even have the stats. Like 80% of people played the defaults anyway. Being able to customize it doesn't really add anything to the experience because anything but the defaults always looked weird.
It's you know, Bethesda I can almost understand, considering how much of that game is spent, especially like in the Fallout 4, how much of that game is spent looking at your own face in dialogue.
Yeah.
So, like, I'll give them that. But back in, like, Morrowind, and even in Oblivion, like...
And especially when your character customizations are like, here is the list of hair you can choose.
Yes, that's another one.
Here are the faces you can choose. Just don't bother. Like, Fallout 4 was good because, again, here are some lists, but you could also go in and drag stuff around. And
it kind of mattered, but I won't say why, because there's some people who still haven't gotten to the end of the game, and I love that game enough not to spoil it. Anyway... but yeah, and then, you know, so we just covered Spore for a second there, but I want to take it back to SimCity. Apparently, there have been some massive patches for the game that have fixed a lot of the problems, but the whole point was it was supposed to be almost like a SimCity MMO. You were supposed to be able to create cities alongside people, have their cities with your cities. You were supposed to have, essentially, an entire planet full of Sim Cities.
That has got to be the feature that gets yanked from games the most. The online multiplayer.
Yeah, and it was essentially a single player game entirely that you had to be connected online for. There wasn't really much you could do besides you could visit other people's cities and affect nothing.
Well, no, it had to be connected online so that Origin could collect all your data.
Oh yeah, right, yeah. But that's really upsetting, because that is a storied, classic, and revered franchise, SimCity.
I spent many hours in middle school sicking Godzilla on my towns.
Yes, that's the thing. And to abuse the license like that as a shameless cash grab. That was upsetting.
Hey, as a result of that, Roller Coaster Tycoon is still in open beta. It's been in open beta for like 4 years.
Screw it then. I'm just going to go play that. This has got to be fun. It's Roller Coaster Tycoon. You can kill people by taking paths away over water.
Or setting up roller coasters that are lethal, but people still keep getting on them.
Right? Just shoot it right off the end. Why not? You can do it. You're God here. But nah, that was kind of my thing. Like, I just got upset about Spore, and I got upset about everything Peter Molyneux ever said. And then, we've touched on Destiny missing the mark so badly.
And that was Bungie, too.
Bungie, who should have known better.
Well, they did, like, sort of. I never understood some people's, like... Fascination with the lore of Halo.
But at the same time, like, Halo was a solid series of games. And, can we be completely honest? It did actually kind of revolutionize the first-person shooter. They did a really good job with it.
Yeah.
Marathon, their original project that...
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, it was good for what it was at the time. PC games weren't that complicated yet.
My experience with Halo has always basically just been, we need an extra man in the deathmatch. Because I don't care to play the single player, because I find it boring as hell, because being that I actually read lots of science fiction, the story of Halo is really bland.
Yeah, we've seen it before. But at the same time, like... It did a lot for first-person shooters. It really did. And then, they had all that talent. And all they could generate, despite all the hype for something that was going to revolutionize gaming, was a Borderlands clone. Same thing as Resistance.
With less plot.
No, Defiance. Defiance was the other one. Sorry, not Resistance. Defiance. That game that was supposed to be the first MMO crossover with a TV series on the Sci-Fi Channel, and it was a Borderlands clone.
Well, yeah, because they were supposed to have the game adapt to the things that happened in the TV show.
But the TV show got shit canned.
Yeah, it got canceled after, half a season?
Yeah, it was not successful.
Because I don't know how that managed to happen, but it somehow managed to come out in the 5-week glut of space invasion TV show. Like, serious, into the world, blur, alien invasion TV show. Like, 7 of them came out in the same 4 months.
It was really, really... Destiny was supposed to be something. And now, a lot of people play it, but what is it, really, besides just another game with distinct classes a randomized loot table on your weapons where it's the individual parts that justify its characteristics, and they all have an action skill on cooldown that sets them apart from other classes with a 3-tiered skill tree. How is that not Borderlands to the fucking T?
It's way less wacky and fun.
Yes, it's Borderlands without a sense of humor, and that's what I mentioned before.
And they had to patch in 3 story DLCs to actually give the game a single-player campaign worth doing.
Yeah. Because not even Peter Dinklage could save it. In fact, Peter Dinklage's performance was outshined by the guy that replaced him because they gave him nothing to work with.
Also, he was replaced by Nolan North.
Yeah.
Who is, like, video game voice god.
Yeah, him and Jim Cummings.
Yes.
Jim Cummings. Everyone loves Jim Cummings.
Be prepared!
If anyone didn't know, Jeremy Irons actually had, I think it's an upper respiratory infection or had bronchitis or something, laryngitis.
He blew his voice back.
Yeah, he blew his voice out during the song Be Prepared. So, actually, most of that song is being sung by Jim Cummings doing an awesome impression of Jeremy Irons singing.
If you know that he replaces him, you can tell exactly where he replaces him, but if you don't, then you can't.
Yeah, and it's kind of amazing because Jim Cummings is phenomenal.
Also, Destiny was doomed from the beginning, at least for me, and a sizable contingent of the internet community, because of one man. And that man is the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. Everybody, get out on your Xboxes. We're going to play some Destiny. It is your destiny to experience the destiny. Daddy. Destiny.
Destiny. You're just going to keep... that sounds an awful lot like your Emperor Palpatine impression.
Okay, maybe Emperor Palpatine should be played by Dusty Rhodes.
No, it's too high-pitched. I can't handle it.
Soon, young Skywalker, you will die, Daddy.
God.
Your journey to the dark side will be complete, baby.
You know, the worst part is, overhyping has been a thing since the NES.
And that's the problem. The big problem with overhyping is, even if the game is excellent, if it's been overhyped,
it will never live up to the expectations.
It's still screwed. Like, Final Fantasy X had that problem.
Yep.
You know, it's just like, it's finally... Because there was a big gap between Final Fantasy IX and Final...
Yeah.
Not a big gap, it was like 3 years. But
it was more years than they put between. And honestly, for how much of a cash cow the PS1 titles were for them, even Tactics, Square should have had something ready to go with the PS2 launch. Because the PS2 was announced so long before it actually hit that they should have had something ready to go.
They did. The bouncer!
Oh, you've sinned today. Oh, God. You know, though, I would say, like, you know, I'll harken back to the NES, like, in terms of overhyping and overpromising. Bayou Billy.
Jesus.
Bayou Billy had a massive advertising campaign behind it. This massive marketing campaign. It is one of, hands down, the worst titles on the NES. But they took out full-page ads. They had TV commercials, which were unheard of back then for a video game. And it wasn't even licensed.
Confusing, weird TV commercials.
Hey, you gonna play that Bayou Billy? The guy with worst Cajun accent. It was worse than Gambit.
It's your destiny, Daddy.
Shut up! But no. You know, that was my thing. That you know, and then, you know, we saw it again with Daikatana. You know, I brought it up before, and I'm going to bring it up again. John Romero is about to make you his bitch.
Which is so weird, because, like, it went away for, like, the SNES Genesis time. They just didn't do that. Gamers got hyped because they're like, oh, yeah, Sonic 2's about to come out, but there was never, like, a media blitz.
But, dude, the Sega Genesis controller has blast processing.
It does what Nintendo don't. They got sued over that campaign.
Yeah, the 90s were a great time to be alive, because everything had to be fucking rad.
Well, yeah, that was like, why Sonic better than Mario? Because Sonic has attitude.
That's literally it. Because honestly, I love Sonic the Hedgehog.
Their whole shit about Sonic, you play it fast. The original Sonic 2D platformers, you cannot run fast or you die constantly.
Not just that, any times when you can run fast, the game really plays itself.
Yeah.
You go around the loops, it goes you on the paths take you where you need to go, and then you jump when appropriate.
I will take the controversial stance. I think the first couple 3D Sonic games are the best games in the franchise.
Adventure and Adventure 2 Battle?
Yes.
I actually completely agree with you. They are phenomenal games. They are well made, except for Big the Cat and except for any Rouge levels specifically, because for some reason...
Froggy!
No. He has that weird thing that kids still have. Froggy. It's a W for some reason. Why is a boss? You fight a boss where you have to fish a frog out of a blob creature.
Soon, young Skywalker,
You have got to stop that. And then he appeared again in Sonic Heroes, and all I wanted to do was strangle him. I did. It's just he appeared in a game that was already shitty.
Sonic Heroes has justified its existence for me. Have you seen any of the Sonic 25th anniversary stream that they did?
No, I haven't.
I have to show you the clip later where the guy who sings all the Sonic songs, that like 2-man band that I can't remember the name of, it's called like Blast 40 or Quick 40 or something.
Yeah.
He's singing and he's trying to do audience participation. And, you know, he's like, Sonic Heroes, and he holds it down to the audience, and the kid in the audience literally goes,
What? Oh my god.
It's the best.
What? Okay, I have to look that up. You wanted to talk about David Cage right quick. I know you wanted to mention that before we actually get into the incredible list of broken promises.
And David Cage is weird for me because his broken promises have nothing to do with the game's like development. They basically function the way he says they will. Fair enough. Polygons is emotions. He wants to be a Hollywood director really bad. But that's his thing, is he always claims every game he comes out that this is going to be a deep, immersive experience. It's going to be the most emotional video game ever created, and we've invented new graphics engines so that we can make everything more realistic to invest your emotions in our games. Emotions. You will feel things when you play my game. You know
what you'll feel?
You'll feel
emotions.
The emotion I feel is, fuck you, because I shouldn't have to do a QuickTime event to open my fucking front door. I should not fail a game. This happened to me when I was playing Heavy Rain. I couldn't feed my son his dinner because I couldn't pass the QuickTime event to open the cabinets. And the whole thing's on a timer, so you just run out of time.
I was like, oh yeah, your other son died because you couldn't feed him. Sorry.
So yeah, my experience of Heavy Rain started with press X to Jason. My son hates me because I couldn't get him a bowl of cereal because apparently Dad has like stupid hands that just slap into things instead of actually using his fingers.
Yeah, he's got like Powerpuff Girl hands. They just touch shit. Yeah. Actually.
Why doesn't it work?
That makes me think they have to have some like low grade like telekinesis and nobody notices.
You must, because like that episode where they go in for Professor Utonium's body and they can't figure out how his fingers work.
Yeah, you have to you have to close.
We're not showing our age at all.
No. Dexter's Lab was always my shit. But anyway, so and plus with his bullshit about it'll make you feel emotions. Has anyone here played the last half of Indigo Prophecy, a.k.a. Fahrenheit? Yeah. It goes straight off the goddamn rails.
All of his games do.
Quickly.
Because when he gets to the point where, and I'll give him credit, your decisions actually matter because they affect what happens in the game. But always, by the time you hit the halfway point, the combination of decisions you've made make the game by necessity spiral into so many insane, chaotic directions that the plot loses coherency.
Yeah, literally, like, okay, I'm just going to spoil it. In Indigo Prophecy, essentially, the leaders of the internet show up, and the main character gets straight up fucking Neo powers and starts in the final boss fight, which is a series of QuickTime events.
Yeah.
Because he's addicted to them. Like, the main character has to beat up the internet.
Jen. What's in that box, Roy? The internet.
The internet.
the entire internet. I broke the internet.
God, that episode slays me. Okay, so now...
But also, the other thing, people praise David Cage games for, their deep story to plots, engaging gameplay. Those same game critics give Telltale games shit. They're exactly the same.
Yes, in fact, on average, I appreciate a Telltale game a lot more, strictly because it doesn't try to be something that it's not.
It also doesn't take, 30 hours of quick-time events.
Yeah. They give you back the one thing in an adventure game you actually want, which is some nice dialogue options.
Yes.
Some nice ones, some good ones. Not ones where your dialogue choices could potentially be all wrong because you couldn't actually turn your blinker on to turn left back there. So you had to keep going straight on the road. You didn't even realize you fucked up.
Yeah, there's one dialogue option that will save you, but you don't have access to it because you didn't give the little girl her pancakes. And
precisely. But
and then when he did a game where he figured, okay, I'll try to simplify the story, we got Beyond Two Souls, which is a 30-hour movie.
Yes. And it has Ellen Page, maybe?
And Willem Dafoe. Now, there's a man who could play Emperor Palpatine.
Yes. Willem Dafoe would have been the iciest Emperor Palpatine ever, and he would have been utterly brilliant. Because Willem Dafoe...
looks like an axe murderer?
No, he looks like he's carved out of marble. Like, honestly, if Willem Dafoe's head were just perched on the hillside on Easter Island, no one would know. It would just be, that belongs here. And he would be brilliant in any role he has ever done. Period.
You'll never stop me, Spider-Man.
He was still great.
Yes, everything else in those movies is pretty terrible.
Well, no. The first two were great, and then the third one happened, and then everyone sighed and cried because Tobey Maguire, even though, okay, he can't dance, and he shouldn't dance, and when he does that slide forward and he bites his lower lip, he just looks like a chunky kid who didn't get his cupcakes. Like, I can't. I don't want this. You gave me something I don't want.
I can't. Going back and don't go back and watch the original first Spider-Man movie because your memories of it are much better.
Yeah, it's like going back and watching Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Just don't do it.
I don't know. That one's great in a different way when you're an adult. It's so much better when you're an adult because you're going, this is the campiest nonsense. Well, dude, when you were a kid, it was like legit badass, but when you're an adult, it's like, this is hilarious.
It's like their ultimate attack. Their ultimate attack is she's like, they have to lift up the thing, and it's like an emergency button, and it just needs like a giant robot Ivan Ooze in his non-existent testicles.
Look, I'd say the entire Power Rangers franchise is worth it for when you're in your 20s and you go back and watch the original series and you realize that Tommy's fighting noises were obviously all recorded once and they just kept using it.
Yeah.
No, because he has one and it's very specific and no human would ever utter it at that regular frequency. It's when he goes, "Aya, sit, aya."
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Sometimes he did a jump kick to that
and
one.
it's always exactly the same. It's the same length, it's the same pitch. It is a sound clip. And when he came back 10 years later to be the mentor in Dino Thunder, same noise.
They might have kept it just for fun. Like, do you think he was going to catch on? No, man.
Except in that one, he had to constantly wear long sleeve shirts because if anyone has ever seen a picture of Jason David Frank from the last 10 years, he has gotten, frankly, an irresponsible amount of tattoos.
Yeah.
He looks like a Yakuza boss, except they're all, Jesus-y.
All right.
He has Jesus didn't tap tattooed on his arm, which is a weird phrase to me because accurate, but still is dead.
Yeah.
Jesus didn't tap. No, he died.
There you go.
He couldn't tap. His hands were nailed to the wood.
Yeah, it's really hard. Maybe if he gotten them fingernails just on the maybe he tapped, but it was so quiet they couldn't.
He would have had to wave the ref over and verbally submit.
But he couldn't wave the ref over because his hands were.
Surrender, Daddy. It is your destiny to lose to the American dream.
God. Okay, so I'm gonna start going down a list of shit that did not make it into No Man's Sky that they promised. Some big ones here. Planetary physics.
Yep, they all work the same.
Yep. It was supposed to be each planet was going to have its own individual physics. It was going to rotate at a certain speed. It was going to revolve at a certain speed. That does not happen. It was all supposed to be unique. Let's see.
I don't even see how that would have been feasible in a procedurally generated game.
Exactly. It would have taken up too much space. Landing on asteroids, you could not do that.
No.
Yeah, you can't do that. They said specifically, at the moment you can land on asteroids. That did not happen. They said maybe you take out a space station or a fleet or, something like that, saying you destroy space stations and fleets. That cannot happen. Giant fleets of ships. No, most of the like fleets, quote unquote, they have are maybe 3 or 4 ships. Let's see, large freighters were supposed to be able to like move through space, but they are set pieces. They're just there.
Yeah, you can't interact with them.
They don't go. They're a static object. Let's see here. It was supposed to be like you're supposed to have different races and different factions, and depending on the races and factions that you chose, it was supposed to have a legitimate effect.
Which is weird, because the races and factions are still in the game, but you can't participate.
Well, it's not necessarily that. Like, I think you can, but the trick is they don't matter. They don't affect anything. It's literally like choosing a team in Pokemon Go. It's a badge, and that's all it is. And they were supposed to have that sort of thing. You're supposed to have the trade ships that can dock with freighters, and so far no one's actually seen it happen. Large-scale space battles where you could pick sides and join in and affect the flow of the battle. That cannot happen because there are no large-scale space battles that you can happen on. That's not real. They're supposed to be able to see, like, non-player characters just launching and landing at will, much like player characters would. And so far, that has been not shown at all. They specifically showed an NPC ship launching from something that wasn't a space dock, implying that they could land wherever you could. That did not happen.
Nope, they can only land at the designated ports, and there's not actually a person in the ships, it's just a ship that you run up to, steal its resources, and it goes. And
you were supposed to be able to see freighters like coming into the atmosphere of planets and battles happening within the atmosphere of planets, and that does not happen. It's utterly ridiculous. They said, this is a small one, but for no reason we can think of, he literally said, someone asked him about planets with rings around them for more diversity in the design of the planets. And he said, we haven't shown that yet, but if it's in sci-fi and sci-fi book covers, we kind of need to do it. And they didn't. Yes.
I have yet to find any scantily clad slave aliens.
They said that they were supposed to have sand planets, like desert planets.
Water planets, sand planets, metal planets. How do you make it freaking procedurally generated universe of planets and you don't have fucking Tatooine?
Yeah, you don't have a desert, not
the
one.
most famous planet in the history of science fiction. Actually, all of the most famous planets in science fiction are sand planets. Because you got Tatooine, you got Dune. That's it, because those are the only 2 planets anyone can
the weird desert planet from Enemy Mine. It was barren.
Yeah, but that planet doesn't have... The Sleeper has awakened!
House Atreides.
Bun, dun, 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 dun.
God. Sting in that man thong.
Woo!
Yeehaw. Roxanne! They said that you were supposed to be able to fly.
Young Skywalker, soon your journey will be complete!
Why? You don't have to put on the red lightsaber. That was dumb. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Leia!
No,
you don't
not
have to wear that metal dress tonight.
Oh.
So what else is in No Man's Sky?
Okay, you cannot fly between star systems manually. They said you were supposed to be able to do that. You basically quick travel between them. You're supposed to be able to fly from one to the other manually. But they said, he literally said...
I saw a video of someone trying to navigate the menu. Holy shit.
Yeah. Let's see here. You're supposed to have actual different like ships, like different classes. Like you can customize your ship, but it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't change how it works. They're functionally identical. You're supposed to be able to name the ships.
You did ships.
Why'd they take that out?
Worse than the gummy ship.
And the gummy ship is a terrible idea.
I have an idea. Let's put really difficult Star Fox levels in between the levels of this game that otherwise has nothing to do with this playstyle.
The 1.5 HD remix on the PS3 fixes it. They fixed it.
Can you just skip them?
You can't skip them, but you don't actually have to
do it.
No, you can just fly straight through and the shit'll shoot at you, but you can customize your ship easily just to throw some shields on that bitch and not even worry about it.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's not an issue. Ships don't fly in the game like a ship would. They fly like a video game ship. And the worst part is, you were supposed to be able to fly your ship, like, when you get down to the planet. You're supposed to be able to, go up and down and around. But what it is instead is, no, you just hover above the ground and you turn. It's like flying in the overworld in, a Super Nintendo Final Fantasy game. You just go around and then you land and then you get back in your ship and it goes to a designated altitude and you fly around. You can't go up and down and around. You can't fly around a mountain in between peaks. You just go. It's stupid. It's like being in a boat. That's what it is. It's like being in a boat and diving down to the ocean floor. It's not worth it. It's not what it was supposed to be.
I wanted to bullseye some womp rats in my T-16 while I was flying through Beggar's Canyon.
Yes. Exactly. We are really stuck on Star Wars today.
It's space game. Literally,
Yeah.
Look, No Man's Sky, if you slap the Star Wars license on it, it's basically what an open world Star Wars game would be like. Except when you went into the ports, instead of that really horrible bland music every time you got out of your ship.
Yeah. Also, the fact that it's procedurally generated, but basically what they actually did was the same thing they did with Spore. There's a set of characteristics that get applied to the creatures, that get applied to the planets, and it scrambles them. Like the guns in Borderlands. It's literally piece A, piece B, piece C, piece D, and there's your creature.
Although that does get you ridiculous shit like that one that someone posted online of the T-Rex with deer feet.
Yes, except it's bipedal. It stands up, but it has hooves for feet. That doesn't make sense. That creature wouldn't survive.
That is an evolutionary dead end at best.
Yeah, Jesus, man. It can't even clap. It can only clop.
Oh, and it did procedurally generate a dick monster. Someone found one and put
Of
screenshots
course.
up.
They also did, like dick plants, too. But, there was this whole thing, and the resources. They said that the resources were supposed to be different for planets close to a sun and planets further away from a sun, because that makes sense when you think about it. The science, that makes sense.
Yeah.
There are different elements, that are common on Venus than are on Uranus. That's a thing.
Venus has a shitload of aluminum on it.
But it's not like that. It's just kind of there and randomly. They said that you could play the game solely as a tradesman. You could play it just in space. You would never have to land on a planet. But you do, because it's not like that. You can't just trade for everything.
There's no one to trade with.
And you can't do it. They said that the crafting was supposed to be just as complex as Minecraft. But it's not like that. It's set recipes.
I don't know if you get just as complex as Minecraft is a real good goal to start with.
Well, yeah, but they were supposed to have that. It was supposed to be like, you didn't know what this shit made. You were supposed to have to figure it out. But it's not. It's recipes like everything else. This plus this makes this. And that's the only way it works. They said you were supposed to be able to look at your galactic map and see where other people had found certain elements that are in that system. And that's just a feature that wasn't there. It just didn't make it. And these are all things that were promised by the developers directly.
It also doesn't have sentient... None of the planets have native species.
Yeah, well, they have native...
They have flora and fauna, but they don't have life.
Yes, they don't have a civilization.
Yeah, that's so lame.
That doesn't make sense, right?
That's so lame. Although the developers tried to backtrack that one. I was like, oh, it's incredibly rare, just like in the real galaxy. Nobody's found one yet, because it's not in the game.
Yeah, another one was they said that there would be large creatures that would affect the landscape. Like literally, like like a creature could knock over a tree. A creature could that was particularly large could like stomp a crater, basically giant footprints. And
you can't even touch the animals.
And another one was there are creatures in the trailers that are doing things they just don't do. Like they had flying eels that like they have flying creatures that fly above you and you can't really interact with them. But in this one, they're like flying low to the ground where you could be right next to them. They had one where they had a large, like a quadruped that was bathing itself. And that's a behavior that they just don't exhibit. They just don't do these things. They don't live lives. They follow a simple AI path of walking back and forth. They're essentially patrolling.
Well, I mean, the trailers basically promised every planet would be like Jurassic Park. And what you get is like the frickin' farm from Harvest Moon.
Yeah, things that just aren't in the game that are shown in trailers. Rivers. Mm-hmm. Large structures, like even man-made ones, just large set pieces. They're not there. Crashed freighters, which would have been amazing. Not there. Structures with moving parts. Portals. Some of the structures are there, but they don't work.
Yeah. I wonder if they're going to add some DLC later.
Oh. You know, let's see. Trying to think here. There was all sorts of like Sentinels, I believe. Like
yeah, like the crazy space cops.
Yes, they're supposed to come in large packs. They don't do that. They come in 3 to 4. You were supposed to basically. You're supposed to maintain how wanted you are, even while going in somewhere. Like you're going to walk into a building. It was supposed to maintain that you were wanted, but that didn't happen. And they were supposed to have like some sentinels that were actually just patrolling, but they don't have that. It just doesn't exist. It's just ridiculous.
Well, it's just a tech demo. That's all it is.
Yes. Being able to see and play with other players. So far, people have...
They've gotten on the same planet and they can't see each other.
Yeah. People have found planets already, despite the fact that you're supposed to have an infinite number of planets. Tons of people have regularly found other planets other players have discovered, just immediately. What else? Radio chatter. That's not there. You're supposed to be able to hack doors. You can't do that. Translucent glass. While you're inside a starship, you're supposed to be able to see out of the starship. Like when you're not on your ship, when you're in like a big one, and you're supposed to be able to see out. You can't.
Oh, God.
It's just black paint.
Awesome.
You can't see out of it. Because it would have been too much to render it from that point of view, I guess. You know, that's ridiculous.
And that's one of... It's a dev team of 15 people.
And I get that. But
what they did with
promises.
15 people is amazing.
Yes, I agree.
But what you made was a tech demo that someone with an actual studio production team should have gone, okay, we're going to build on this and create the game you actually said you were making.
It's just... There's no real diversity in the planets. They're far less diverse than they were supposed to be. The pool of resources is tiny. It's nothing like the Minecraft bar they were reaching for. I mean, you can't really even explore that much. You just go around and look at shit.
And the inventory space is a joke.
Yes. You have to walk back to your ship to store shit in your ship, but there's no marker to mark a point of interest. They said you were going to be able to do that. You can't do that. You're supposed to be able to mark a point of interest so that it'll show up like basically on your radar.
Effectively, you can't walk away from your ship because if you lose your ship, you're fucked.
And then ship combat is essentially just a test of reflexes now because they don't really have ship classes and ship attributes. Ships are identical except for cosmetics and inventory space. Large-scale space battles aren't there. You can't destroy space stations or freighters. You can fight sentinels and pirates, but alone. That's it. And they basically fly ships that are the same as yours.
Fun.
Ground combat is with 3 or 4 enemies at the most, and it's a nearly mentally challenged AI fighting against you, so it's nothing. It's you're finished in that. You know, you really, the only thing that trading can do for you is selling items, honestly, to get better equipment, but that's pretty much it. It doesn't do anything.
So what you're telling me is we were promised Obi-Wan Kenobi, and we got Jar Jar.
Yes, and it was supposed to be, at its core, a survival game, too.
Oh, Misa! Procedurally generated!
You know, somebody's going to find a Jar Jar in that game at some point, and they're going to try to kill it. And I hope they succeed, because Jar Jar Binks is a sin. Like, I
don't even hate Gungans. I just hate Jar Jar. Captain Tarples is badass.
I even think Boss Nass is alright, even though he does that, like, Nixon thing.
I don't even think that was in the script. I think that was just Brian Blessed going, I have jowls!
I would love
Brian,
to see...
can you not do that on set? Do what?
Brian Blessed has only ever yelled. He doesn't have a volume. His volume is Brian fucking Blessed.
He can be quiet. He just chooses not to.
Thanks for teaching an old bird.
No, there's an episode of some British show that I can't remember the name of where some lady says she doesn't like loud people, so they bring in Brian Blessed and have him do snooker commentary. Which is literally just, oh, there he goes, he's lining up his shot. He hasn't missed a shot all day. He's doing very well in the snooker rankings today. And the guy misses the shot. Oh, agony! Oh, woe! Cry havoc! And let's slip the dogs of war! Oh, he's going again.
You know, but...
No, you know what honestly would have made No Man's Sky way more palatable? If it cost $25.
Yes! Make it a budget title.
It was an indie game. It doesn't matter how much dev time or how much crap you invested. An indie title made by an indie studio with indie resources
doesn't belong at the $60 price mark.
It's not worth $60.
No, it's not. If they'd have cut back the price, I think people would have been less pissed off. If they'd have cut back the hype, people would have been less pissed off. This is kind of identical to what happened to Colonial Marines, except worse.
And
it's worse.
Less willful.
Yeah.
Also, they didn't insist that nothing was wrong after it came out.
No, yeah. That's the thing is that the studio's just like, what are you talking about? This is No Man's Sky. I'm sorry. This is what it always was.
This is what we could do. It's like, well, we have video of you telling us all this other stuff. Well, you know.
They took the Peter Molyneux route, I think, where Peter Molyneux, I believe, actually at one point said, because someone threatened to sue him over, I think it was Fable, actually. Or it might have been, it was Fable or Spore. But
fanboy nonsense.
He actually said, because they're trying to get him for false advertising. But he actually said, no one could reasonably expect all of these things to be in the game. What?
I believe his
statement
was, all of the things were in development when I said it, but they were taken out later because of other considerations.
And that's the thing, is you can't be making lofty promises, because the entire reason almost everything that made No Man's Sky the hype train it was, the reason that all of those features were removed were because those features broke other core features of the game.
Yeah, and they even delayed the game to try to work it out, and they couldn't, because there's not enough devs, there's not enough time, and I'm sure, honestly, the team just wanted to get the game released, so the friggin' shit bucket internet would leave them the hell alone.
Yeah.
Because honestly, guys, if I was in charge of No Man's Sky, I might have just thrown my fingers up and said, fuck you guys, I'm going home.
Yeah, well, it's the same reaction people are having to the pushback of Final Fantasy 15.
Holy shit. It got delayed 2 months so that they could make something not a day one patch. That's a good reason to delay a game.
That's kind of my thing.
They're delaying it so it will be better.
Look at it this way.
Also, the game's been in development for 10 fucking years. Yeah. 2 months is nothing.
Look at it this way. How long did it take us? Like, I'm going to bring up Half-Life, and we're not going to talk about Half-Life 3, because Half-Life 3 is probably never going to happen.
It's a joke. Even Valve makes jokes about it at this point.
Plus Valve doesn't need to develop anymore.
No, they have Team Fortress 2 and hats.
Well, not just that. They've got Dota 2 and skins, and they've got Team Fortress 2 and hats, and they have Steam. They get a cut of every fucking sale on Steam. They have 200 employees. That is abysmal compared to other developers.
Oh, man, that explains everything that's wrong with Steam, though.
Yeah, that's... well, honestly, from their point of view, would you sink money into tech support?
I wouldn't sink it into tech support. I'd sink it into quality control.
Good luck, buddy. But that's kind of my thing is, how long did it take us to get Half-Life 2?
It was already out by the time I found out about the franchise.
But it took us a while. But it was worth it. That game is still today great. You can still go back and play Half-Life 2. And it's still amazing. Not amazing for its time. It's still a phenomenal game.
Yeah. I mean, that's because they took their time and worked on it, as opposed to, say, Duke Nukem Forever, which was in development for 15 years because they kept starting over and foisting it off on other people.
Well, I mean, it brings me to one that's actually... Everyone here loves Earthworm Jim, right? We all love Earthworm Jim. We love Earthworm Jim 2, and we loved the Aladdin game. For the Genesis, specifically the one for the Genesis.
Oh my god.
Not the one for the Super Nintendo.
Why are all of the Disney platformers so fucking hard?
Yeah, that one's great though, because the team that worked on it, Shiny Crew. Shiny Crew knew what they were doing. They made good platformers. And they were developing one for the PS1 called Wild 9. And they made so many promises. The case itself on the back says, and Karn, a villain so big... his face is the size of New York.
Galactus.
That didn't happen. Obviously. It didn't happen.
How would you even represent that in a side-scrolling game?
Yeah, well, that game was announced before the PS1 dropped, and it wasn't released. I think it was in development for, 7 years, maybe more. It was in development for way too long. And it was one of the reasons Tommy Tallarico, his star fell so quickly is because he actually had his own sound design company. And one of the big things they did, it was tied to Wild 9. And that game just wasn't what it was supposed to be. They said you could torture your enemies, but really all it was you could throw them into set pieces and it would kill them.
I always assumed his career fell apart because he was on that game review show where he revealed he was an immature wild frat boy.
Yeah, that was part of it. But another reason was because his...
What was that show called?
I can't remember. I don't want to.
It wasn't as good as freaking... X-Play, so who cares?
Back when it was just...
Sessler and Morgan, yeah.
Back before it got weird. But nah, that was the thing. There was another one for the PS1, because the PS1 era had a lot of them, had a lot of overhype.
The PS1 itself... honestly was the precursor to Steam because people just shoveled software onto that platform.
Oh yeah, Psygnosis was one of those. If I had to play one more generic action-adventure title from Psygnosis, I was going to shoot somebody because they made a lot of great games.
Why did you keep buying them?
I didn't. People bought them for me. But another game that got overhyped as shit was called Rascal, and it was another platformer. But it delivered on zero promises.
Man, mascot platformers is a genre. I always go, man, why did this die? And then I go back and look at it as because except for Mario and Crash Bandicoot, they all suck.
False. Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank. Jak and Daxter.
Ratchet and Clank's not a platformer.
You jump, man. You jump on platforms and shit. You do. You have a double jump. In the form of a jetpack.
Oh, no. That's like claiming Metal Arm's glitch in the system. It's a freaking third-person shooter.
So it's fucking awesome
that has
anyway.
Platforming elements.
The original Jak and Daxter. That is a mascot platform.
Only the first one, though.
Yeah, because then it became a third-person shooter.
But you know what I mean. Those are good. But then you've got, freaking Tack.
And the power of Juju.
Sphinx and something or other
The Cursed Mummy.
Buzzbee.
Vex. Alter Ego. The Frogger games.
Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. So many shitty mascot platformers.
Yeah. Damn. It was such a waste. But no, and I have to say, No Man's Sky might be one of the greatest disappointments in video games now. I think it will go down as the greatest disappointment in video games just because of the sheer number of broken promises.
And also, I think it'll go down as a perfect example of a game that was eaten alive by its own pre-release hype.
I agree. I completely agree. And it's a shame because that game could have... If they'd have just said, what we're making is a simple space exploration game with some neat features.
And all those things, that big list of shit that's not in the game, they could have made all of that okay by just saying, we hope to implement X.
But they didn't. They said, it's going to be there. They went definite with it. Oh, well.
I'm glad I didn't buy the hype or buy the game.
Me too. I only pre-order games that are in tried and true franchises, and even then I've been burned once or twice.
I don't even pre-order anything anymore because it's not like it was 10 years ago. No one's going to run out of what you want.
Yeah, you're going to be fine.
The only reason to pre-order now is because there's pre-order DLC, because game companies are greedy shitheads and carve pieces out of the game to force you to pay more to get them back.
Yeah, EA straight be a dick.
Stop it.
So, on that note, my friends, we're going to call it an evening. Thank you for listening. I hope you agree with us that No Man's Sky is an unmitigated failure. I have been Mike Bryson. Please listen to us. Please like us. Please comment if you would like us to tackle a certain topic. You can follow me on Twitter at Prof Thursday. That's PROF Thursday.
All right. Follow me on Twitter at Count Crory. Count, COUNT, KRORY. I don't remember why that's my Twitter handle, but that's what it is.
I'm Prof Thursday because of story.
Yes.
I might tell that story sometime. Maybe we'll do one that's just a fireside chat.
Huzzah! Leave a comment, rating, and review on iTunes. Eventually we'll get these on YouTube. Give us some comments, suggestions for topics. We're not running out on our own, but we want to know what you want to hear us talk about.
Yeah, because that's crucial to basically holding your attention hostage.
Yes.
So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and good night.
And remember, Daddy, embrace your destiny.
Fuck off.